Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
In my lifetime, I have seen the Cold War between the East and the West dissolve.
We welcome change and openness, for we believe that freedom and security go together.
In my lifetime, I've seen the Berlin Wall come down.
There are many people who feel that it is useless and futile for us to continue talking peace and non-violence.
In my lifetime, I have seen apartheid dismantled.
It is absolutely important that you have the knowledge to serve your country and your people.
In my lifetime, I've seen the man of color in the White House.
Out of many, we are one. That while we breathe, we hope. And those who tell us that we can't, we will respond with that timeless creed that sums up the spirit of a people. Yes, we can. Thank you. God bless you. And may God bless the United States of America.
In my lifetime, I've seen grassroots movements topple governments through the use of social media.
I want freedom. Freedom. Only freedom. Freedom.
We can come together to heal segregation and redirect civilization to the celebration of diversity in oneness. We can make it happen. I am Brother Ishmael Tetteh, and I believe that world peace is possible in our lifetime. It begins with you and I now.
A disharmony, then you have shifted from the calling for which you have been ordained a prophet to be. And certainly, life would become a struggle. There will be imbalances, and the world would not sail smoothly for us to experience the harmony with which the universes were created from the beginning. So, beloved, to move forward, we are to identify our divine ordinations. What prophet do you stand for? Am I the prophet of beauty? Am I the prophet of beauty such that in my presence there is beauty all around that resonates with the souls of men, and they find themselves in beautiful tranquility with life? These are some of the questions you would need to ask yourself. We have people who are talented with great voices. True? We have people who are talented with great voices, and for them to connect and function from their original great natures, they want to look at somebody else's greatness. And probably they look down, denying and depriving themselves of the greatness they have also been given. So they bury those seeds and begin to copy another's. Eventually, the gift, the ordination, is destroyed and killed. If you are ordained as a singer, a musician, what are you doing with this voice of yours such that you will multiply this voice? You will be the prophet of music. You will be the prophet of music because God knew you from before, gave you a voice that can sing and soothe the souls of men. Will you use this voice of yours, sing to heal souls, multiply this gift of sweet, melodious voice in you in the lives of others? Will you go somewhere and when there is disorder, your voice alone can bring orderliness? And will you be in dominion, activating this voice that you have, and it promotes you everywhere you go? It is this voice that you are known for. The Master Jesus is known for love, the teacher of love, the teacher of unity, the teacher that brings people together. What are you known for? What are you known for? Here I stand. I would clearly and confidently say that I am the prophet of speeches. I am here, the prophet of speaking, if I should put it that way. Because God created me, knew me from where I came from. My mom tells me, as a child, I talk. I can talk. Pa. God knows what I must be, and therefore gave me a voice that must speak. And therefore, in even choosing to promote me or advance me, I said I was going to do marketing in my graduate studies because it was the norm of the time and it was fetching money for many people. So I just wanted to dive into that angle, go and learn marketing. Along the way, in the course, I know that I am so passionate about speaking to the souls of men. I like connectedness with human beings and making them feel connected. That is me, an inner feel I have. So in the course of this lesson, I got to know that, wow, the psychology being handled here, how come I didn't know? Instantly, it resonated so well with me, I shifted courses and program. Because this is what feels like me. And to continue, what still feels like me is to pursue what? Guidance and counseling in my master's. And this is something that fulfills me. And in everywhere I find myself, in lecture room, in groups, in places, I am always appointed to be the presenter, the leader of the group, to go and present. When I want to shift myself and not be seen, they will fish me out to go and present. The late brother Ashon Katai, of good blessed memories, about 20 years ago, I had not identified this potential of a great good voice. We were doing some production of soul processing here. He is a broadcaster, heard my voice and said, wow, this voice will have to go to places. Again, in the search, I spoke to one great man, the originator of, I think, digital TV in Ghana, Chief Crystal Jericho, spoke with him on phone. That is the CEO of Crystal TV. Spoke to him on phone and instantly said, wow, what a voice. This voice must be standing on platforms and delivering to people. And truthfully, anytime I am invited or called upon to deliver, I do not deliver. I present me. And gratefully, I have a presence, a personality that can carry this voice so it will be heard. And whenever it is done, there is an innermost satisfaction inside of me. It does not come with money. It is a fulfillment I gain from the core of me. And it simply sets me at rest. This is the ordination we are all looking at finding for ourselves and placing ourselves in the right platforms and delivering our God assignments. There's this movie I watched. I don't know if you have watched it as well. Hacksaw Ridge. Hacksaw Ridge, that's the title of the movie. And there's this one, it's people being trained to go to the battlefield. And one of the soldiers entered as a medical doctor. And this medical doctor, what is the ordination of a medical doctor? To heal, isn't it? To restore life, isn't it? To ensure that life is in whole. And this medical doctor will find himself in the military. And where will they go? Battlefield. So, this medical doctor, in all of their courses, they are supposed to train as to how to fire the gun. And this medical doctor in the military says he will never hold a gun to pull the trigger. He won't. And a lot of things went on. The storms blew him, but he wanted to be there to save lives, because a lot of lives go waste in the military and on the battlefield. And that is where he finds his niche, to be the healer. And you want this person who has identified his ordained prophetship as a healer to be the one to hold the gun to fire? No-go area. His colleagues will torment him. For what reason would all of us fire? You alone won't fire. Hey, the whole state had to come and sit in this. He was compelled, and he never would do so. Eventually, he was pulled out of the military system. At a point, he had to come back. And he was still being battered by friends, by people in the military. And this is all the things we shall all experience when you want to stand firm on your ordained God prophetship. It will not be a smooth road. The wind will blow you from side, from front, and from back, but you must know you. And if you don't know you, you will be blown anywhere. So this man, it was wartime, and they had to go to the battlefield, and apparently the opponents outmatched them, and come and see how their people were just falling off. This man never pulled a trigger in the military, but was one of them at the battlefield, and all he was passionate about doing was to heal, to restore, to protect, and put the people who were being injured on the battlefield right back on their feet. So if you know your God-ordained nature, you should still stand firm by it and not let the wind blow you and disorient you and make you do anything as and when. And eventually, at the end of the war, the people realized that majority of their people were just killed or hurt. But something mysteriously was happening. In all the people that were hurt, something mysteriously was happening by this one person alone. He luckily never got shot by a bullet. And those that were falling off with the guns, that would have even protected themselves better, he was the one restoring them, healing them, will carry them all by himself and transport them over a high cliff to the valley where his people were. At the end of the war, they realized that they had a whole lot of their soldiers who were injured, who had left the battlefield to their camp. And how was that possible? It beat their imagination. The prophet, the healer of that soldier, was at work. The prophet of a healer of that soldier was at work and ensured that there is life, there is resuscitation, and life continued. And if you would see their sick bay, there were over 200 patients lying down, And to their surprise, he was the last person to descend from the battlefield. And they wondered, who is this person, or what is happening? What mystery is happening on the battlefield, descending wounded soldiers down there? And the last person to come from there was this soldier who never held a gun. What are you ordained to be? What are you ordained to be? And when you stand firm in this your ordination and you live to the full of it, you live a fulfilled life. At the end of the day, this soldier was hailed one of the efficient, hard-working soldiers in the military. But he never held what? A gun. He never held a gun. And to this, he found fulfillment in himself. If he had held a gun and pulled a trigger, it would be the end of him. But he stood his ground and he found fulfillment in his life. Now, fulfillment here is what? Having lived to the full of your God-ordained prophetship, okay? To find fulfillment in you is to have lived to the full, established yourself in the God-ordained prophetship. You have multiplied yourself in it. You have replenished the waste areas and restored them, and then you are in control, in dominion, and living this ordination. This is when we say you have lived a fulfilled life. And when the time comes, you would realize that you are full in your God self of a healer. You are full in your God self of a singer. You are full in your God self as a minister of God. You are full in your God self of great creative ideas. We have the director for DDP, great creative imaginative system in place. Great creative imaginative advertising system in place, and he is living to the full, and therefore life would fully establish itself in you, promote you for its own good. And to this end, he's now the president of the advertising system in Ghana now. He's standing his ground, knowing what he represents and not shifting from his center and living it. What about you? Kofi Annan said he was going to be the leader of peace for the world. What about you? Spirit of liberation is doing his work. What about you? The Florence Nightingales, the nurses, right? They stood their grounds also in the battlefield and healed souls. What about you? Would you say at a point in time that you have lived to the full of your God self and you have filled you in the places where it is needed to be filled? Would you be able to say that? If it is a yes for you, let's raise our hands and clap for that. If you will be able to live to the full of your God ordination and fill you, replenish you, subdue you, and have dominion, then indeed you have lived a fulfilled life. And when the time comes for you to rest, you would comfortably surrender. The Master Jesus said what? I must go and be about my Father's business. I am the spirit and teacher of love. And to this end, I was sent. To what end have you been sent? To what end have you been sent? This is the question I ask you. And for us to be fully engaged and participatory in this beautiful world God has created, we need to go back to the drawing board. We need to go back to the drawing board and ask the maker, the creator, the one who formed you and knew you in the belly and sanctified you and ordained you, and ask him, what have you ordained me as? Show me, dear Lord, how you see me through your eyes, so that I can realize your great love for me. Teach me, oh God, that I'm precious in your sight, as the Father loves his Son, so you love me. I am yours because you have chosen me. I'm your child because you've called my name. What is your name? The teacher of love, the teacher of harmony, the teacher of peace. What is your name? What have you been ordained after? And the steadfast love of God would guide and support and promote you in this ordination. Will you always remain, be the precious ordained child, daughter, son of God in this field? Ways be your precious child. You will always be God's precious child when you are living up to your prophetship ordination. Then it is a fulfilled life. You have lived to the full. And for this to happen, there's only one thing. There's only one thing that you need to do to be able to anchor yourself in this state of you being the ordained prophet of love, of peace, of harmony, of joy, of creativity, of analysis, of mathematician, of a counselor, of a healer. Think of it. Which one is it yours? There's one thing. The same old word. Spiritual persona. Spiritual persona. If you are living a life without an identity, what then are you? And spiritual persona simply helps you to connect to your God identity and to live it to the full. Spiritual persona is the practice I would encourage all of us to embark on, live it, and do it to the full. Then you will know who indeed you have been ordained as, and your life will be a fulfilled one when you are about time to exit this life. To this end, I say, welcome home. Together, you and I, we are going back to our ordained God prophetship, and we are going to heal the world and show that this is a beautiful paradise the world God created and said it is very good indeed. Together, you and I will establish and make this happen. God bless you.
Ethereum Mission, we are not church Christians. We are Jesus Christians. In fact, I find it so strange that people go to church which is supposed to teach them spirituality, and there's no spirituality teaching in the churches. The Bible tells us in Genesis 1:26-28 that God created us in his spiritual image and likeness. In Genesis 2:7, and then God breathed the spiritual you into the dust, and you became a living soul. When we go through even scripture further, the book of Corinthians, 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 44, says, there is a natural body, and then there is a spiritual body. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 16 tells you, know you not that you are the temple of the living God, and the Spirit of God dwells in you. There are people who are even afraid of the word spirit. Yet Jesus told us in John 4:24 that God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. All these confirm to us that you are a dual being. You have a natural human body, and then you have a spiritual body. And for each of these, you need the appropriate education for a holistic life. We receive natural education by secular education. Secular education takes you from primary school all the way to university for you to be able to provide for yourself good food, clothing, and shelter. Yet without the spirit, even the natural physical body is not animated to live. We're supposed to receive spiritual education from our spiritual or religious institutions, such as our churches, our mosques, whatever religion you belong to. But when it comes to spiritual education, almost all religious bodies are empty. I find it strange that you know you are spirit, you go to church for you to receive spiritual education, and you know the church is not giving you any spiritual education, yet people keep going. Wow. That's why I invite you to Ethereum Mission. Like I said, we are not church Christians, we are Jesus Christians. We follow what the Master taught, that you are spirit, and the Spirit of God dwells in you as you. The kingdom of God is within you, said the Master. Meaning, the power, love, and the spiritual presence of God is within you. I welcome you to spiritual study and growth in Ethereum Mission. Ideally, look for any Ethereum Mission branch and start your spiritual evolution. Because the first blessing God gave you was also your absolute imperative. It said, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it. Meaning that you are the very seeds of God, or the seed that God is, the presence that God is in you as seeds. And you are to grow them into trees and bear fruits of peace, love, joy. That's what the book of Galatians told you, Galatians 5:22-23. If you want spiritual growth, then you know where to come to. Peace.